Hey guys, it's Cameron with Power Sports Nation, and today we're doing a build breakdown on this Kawasaki KRX 1000. All right guys, we are here with Todd Dickey's Kawasaki KRX 1000. So this is his trail rig, and what we wanted to do is just do a build breakdown on it. A lot of the times we're just talking about our used parts and products and whatnot. This KRX 1000 actually came in to get parted out, and we decided to save it. It didn't have anything super mechanically wrong with it, but we did upgrade a lot of the parts on it when we did build it. We ended up stripping it all the way down to essentially the bare bones to be able to make sure everything was done properly. But we're just going to kind of go through it front to back, talking about the different modifications that we've done, why we've done them, and why they are important to do. So this Kawasaki KRX 1000 is my father, Todd Dickey's machine, his trail rig. He takes it everywhere and he abuses it. He's really put it through its paces. Speaking of fathers, we are running a Father's Day sale June 15th through June 22nd. If you buy 3 or more used parts on our website, you're gonna get 25% off. So starting with this front bumper up here, this was made by Podium 1 Engineering. It is a little bit unique because it ties into the front sway bar mounts. But what we added to this front bumper is we added this rigid light bar in the bottom here, and then we're running a 45-pound winch up here. By having it up here, it gets it out of the mud because normally they're mounted down here. So up here, it just makes it a lot more easy to be able to just flip the release and whatnot. This thing is stout. As you can tell, it's taken some hits, and it's just held up really well. Moving over here to the wheels and tires, which we'll go over here so it's easier to see. We got a Sedona Sano 15x6 rim. This is the 5x1 offset, which keeps it closer to stock, which doesn't give you near as much bump steer. Then we got a Maxxis Rockzilla 35-inch tire. So KRXs are great because you can fit a 35-inch tire factory on them and they hold up really well. This tire we run at a really low tire pressure when we're crawling. We'll bump up the tire pressure if we're just doing standard trail riding so we don't get any pinch flats or anything stupid, but this tire is just super soft and just grips the rocks really well. Moving in here, this is the electronic shock, what people call live valve. They are revalved, or resprung and redone by EE Racing. They're out of Louisiana, and this thing rides like a cloud. If you've never drove a live valve, it is so nice to be able to switch from soft, medium to hard, or whatever they call it, comfort, trail, speed, whatever you want to call it. There's 3 positions. It just makes the world of a difference. Moving on to the inside in here, underneath the hood, it's kind of hard to see, but we got a horn set up, which we got tied into our Switch Pro, and then, which you can't really see at all, is the radiator fan. We upgraded it to the Brute Performance radiator fan. The factory ones are kind of known to fail. They have a vent on them, and that vent can get water in it and seize up the motor. So this Brute Performance fan is sealed and just really helps to make sure that this KRX stays cool, because one of the big things that kills these KRXs is when they overheat, and then the motor melts down, and then that's just a bad day. Yeah. So inside here, kind of hard to see, but we have the Brute Performance big brake kit. What this actually utilizes is Polaris Razor turbo calipers. So we were able to get turbo calipers off our website, or just kind of took them off the shelf. And we were able to use their bracketry to install those. Those are a big upgrade from the factory 2-piston to the 3-piston. And when we did that alongside it, we installed the Brute Performance Master Cylinder, and that was a huge upgrade. Also, by upgrading the brake fluid from the factory brake fluid to Castrol SRF brake fluid, that helped out a lot. The factory KRX brakes are pretty soft. Behind that is the factory rack and pinion. The factory rack and pinion is pretty good, but Brute Performance will rebuild your rack and pinion with different bushings, which just makes it a whole lot better. And they also add a grease zert so that you can add grease to your rack and pinion, down the road as it continues to wear. So these are just a couple of the upgrades that we've done on the front end. We run stock A-arms and stock axles. We run these Trail Armor A-arm guards, but honestly, they kind of suck. We've ripped the mounts off of them about 4 times, so I'm kind of over them at this point. They do protect, but every time I gotta go out for a ride and replace the mounts, it's annoying. So internal to the front differential, we have Brute Performance's 4-wheel drive gear and input shaft, along with their drive shaft. That 4-wheel drive gear can explode, and when it does explode, it gets nasty and it'll take out a front diff. So to do some preventative upgrades, we've upgraded that, plus the input shaft, because we bounce this thing pretty hard, and an input shaft is just one of those things you don't want to have to replace on the trail. So moving up here, we have Area 15 Designs pod light mounts. We are running the Tiger Lights Mojave series. These are some kick-ass lights. And we can also rotate them if we need to. They're pretty mounted right now, but we could rotate them farther out if we wanted to get more of a side light. But for this, we just want them going forward. We run the Assault side mirrors. These things work really well, and then they can fold as well if you're running through a bunch of timber and brush. Over here on the door, we have something that's pretty awesome and very affordable. These are the Class 1 Motorsports top covers for your doors. So the factory doors kind of have a pinch point right here. And if you're someone like me that's got some arm fat on you, you can get these cotton here and it doesn't feel great. So these are a cheap upgrade to make sure that your door is uniform coverage over it. Also inside the door here is we got Brute Performance door bushings. The factory door bushings really suck. They get real loose, but we have upgraded to their bushings, which keeps the door solid. As you can tell, we have some struts on the door. Down there in the bottom, Brute Performance door struts. We're gonna say Brute Performance a lot. There's a lot of their products on here. Those door struts are awesome because there's nothing worse than getting in and out of it and your door closes on you or the wind catches it. These just make sure that they stay solid open. So down here we got the Trail Armor skid plate. This skid plate down here rocks, obviously because it protects us from rocks. We've beat on this really hard and it's held up really well. And they have the ability to insert a different color inside of the skid plate, which looks cool. Then up here we have a Brute Performance gas cap cover. You're like, why would you want a gas cap cover? Well, picture this without the cover. This just fills full of mud. So by having this cover on here, it just makes sure that your gas cap stays free of a big chunk of mud or snow or dirt, water, whatever you want. But also another one of those cheap upgrades that just in the long run makes a difference. Moving towards the interior of the machine, we have Aces racing seats. These are a very cost-effective seat. PRP seats can get up there to about 1,500 bucks. You can get a set of these shipped to your door for 700 bucks. The mounts kind of suck a little bit, but overall, I think they're worth their money. In here, we got the Click 6 factory Kawasaki harnesses, and if you're constantly getting in and out of your machine on the trail, these things are awesome. Just a lot easier to use and operate instead of a traditional 4-point, but just one of those upgrades that I think everyone should have is at least a better seatbelt than the factory, just one click. Moving over here, we got our rear light bar company Pro 8 switch panel. This thing's awesome. It allows us to turn on all of our lights. We actually have our winch wired to it as well. And then we got our different lights. And then we got a horn. We love this little switch panel for the money with the relays in it. It's really hard to beat. Speaking of suspension, this is where you make your suspension changes, is just these 3 little switches. It's awesome. Coming over here, we have a Assault Industries steering wheel, and then we are running a Hess steering quickener. So you may be wondering, why would you want a steering quickener? So what this does is it improves the ratio. So I'll start the machine. You can go lock to lock a lot faster than if you had the traditional factory steering. If you're driving fast, or like I said, in a tight situation, this thing's awesome. One thing I forgot to mention is that we have integrated taillights and turn signals on this hot rod. So I'll turn them on and we'll go up front here. These are just some Amazon headlights, and they have integrated turn signals front and rear. And then moving towards the back, we have it integrated into the taillight and into the chase bar. Turn signals are never a bad idea, whether you're trying to make your machine street legal or if you're just trying to let somebody know that you're turning. Just one of those cheap upgrades. They're like $300-400 bucks, and you can integrate it into your system that I think everyone should have. We're going to talk about the roll cage. So this is a Podium 1 engineering roll cage. It is much, much stronger than the factory. It has extra bracing added in. And then underneath, you see this little red bit right here. This is actually called boat decking. You can buy it on Amazon or eBay. Make sure that your roof doesn't make any noise, and it looks pretty cool underneath with the checkered pattern. Moving towards the rear of the machine, up here you're going to see a Kraftwerks Supercharger. Well, this is the intercooler setup with all the tubing, but we have a Supercharger on this machine plus some other stuff, which we'll show later. But yeah, we love our Supercharger. Takes this thing from very, very mild to a much more fun machine to drive. It's got almost 50 more horsepower than factory, and it just makes it a dream to wheel. Here we deleted the factory airbox system for the clutch and air intake, and we just have the factory tube here with a cover. Here we got a Jack Be Quick off-road jack. This is a removable jack that takes a Milwaukee battery that allows us to lift this machine up and down, or any machine when we're on the trail. A very nice thing to have, especially if you've got a big group, because you never know when somebody's going to get a flat. Moving back towards the rear of the machine, we have here, which is called a McDermott Designs trunk. This trunk is awesome. It is spendy, but in my opinion, it's well worth the money. If we didn't have the jack set up on here, we'd be able to fit a full-size 35-inch tire on here. And this piece is on struts, and it will lift a full-size tire up. This allows us to keep all of our different tool bags that we have, our recovery ropes, our extra belts, all that different stuff back here. This thing is awesome, and it's super well built. We've had this on the machine since we built it, and we've had no issues with it. So since this machine is a live valve, we have the option to put a rear mount camera on it. Usually it sits under here, but since we've added the Kraftwerks muffler, we had to relocate our rear camera. Just made a quick little bracket. It's not pretty, but it works. We got an Area 15 Designs rear bumper specifically for this muffler setup. Just make sure it keeps protected. We do have a receiver hitch in the rear. Don't really need a receiver hitch, but if you ever have to tow somebody back or do anything like that, it's just nice to have that, because then we can use it as a shackle point. This muffler setup, so this is a full system muffler that comes from the header all the way back into a dual muffler setup, and it sounds really, really nice. Not obnoxious, but it gets rid of that suitcase muffler that usually sits right here. To finish off our build breakdown, we got our supercharger system here. It bolts to the crankshaft, has all sorts of different piping and stuff like that. This makes about 7 pounds of boost, 6-7 pounds of boost. Up here, we got Brute Performance engine and transmission mounts. The factory mounts on these things are pretty crappy. They fail very, very quickly and allow your motor and transmission to sag, which can have a rock come up and hit the skid plate and could crack your oil pan, which is not a fun job to do. I've had to do it. So we upgrade these. They're not fun to put in, but they are well worth the time and effort to put them in. And then you can't see it and can't really show it in general. We have Yawpower ignition coils. And so the factory ignition coil setup is not designed to handle boost whatsoever. And so when you install a supercharger kit like this, or any sort of power adder to a KRX, a lot of people complain that there's a lot of running issues, and the coil packs really make sure that they have the proper spark to make sure that this thing runs at its peak performance. One thing I forgot to mention, because you can't really see it, is tuning. We use PPEI out of Louisiana, and they tuned this thing remotely. So I was able to send them data logs back and forth, and we were able to make sure that this thing was running as good as it can. And this thing runs a lot better than it used to, and is really a lot of good usable power, whether you're climbing, trying to go as fast as you can, or just in general, this thing runs really, really well. So that kind of concludes our build breakdown on this KRX. As you can tell, as you've seen around, this thing's seen a few things. Todd has definitely abused it, and it's held up extremely well. We love our KRXs at Power Sports Nation. We have 4 of them, and as you can see, we got them in different stages in here in my shop. We just beat on them religiously. But this is just one of those machines that we've extensively modified. So if you like this kind of video, or if you want to see more build breakdowns, whether we talk to people that have bought our parts, how they've utilized our parts, just let us know in the comments, because we could do a lot more of these if you guys are interested. Thanks, and please follow along for the next one.